Most people who are serious about off-grid living are asking the wrong financial question. They spend months researching solar panels, water catchment systems, and composting toilets, and then when it comes to the money decision, they ask something vague like, should I sell my house and invest in land, or should I just put everything in the stock market and rent somewhere cheap? That is not a financial question. That is a coin flip disguised as a plan. Here is the question you actually need to answer. Given your specific income, your specific timeline, your specific risk tolerance, and your specific vision of what off-grid living looks like for you, what is the most mathematically sound way to build the financial foundation that gets you there? And the honest answer to that question in 2026 is more nuanced, more interesting, and more actionable than anything the real estate crowd or the index fund crowd wants to admit. I have spent the last several months pulling together real numbers. Not promotional numbers, not the numbers a land seller wants you to believe, or the numbers a financial advisor uses to keep you in the market. Real 2026 data on rural land appreciation, real stock market return history with honest inflation and tax adjustments, real off-grid build costs, real carrying costs, and real opportunity costs on both sides of this decision. And what I found is that for people who are serious about off-grid living, the math points to a specific sequence of decisions that most people never consider because they are too busy arguing about which asset class is better. I am going to walk you through that math in this video. We are going to cover what the stock market actually returns after taxes and inflation, what rural real estate actually returns when you account for carrying costs and illiquidity, how the off-grid lifestyle changes the math in ways that pure investors never model, and what the optimal financial sequence actually looks like for someone who genuinely wants to live off-grid within the next 5 to 15 years. Stay until the very end, because the final section lays out the specific decision framework that most people watching this video could implement this year. And that section alone is worth more than most financial consultations you would pay for. If you are here for real financial analysis that actually applies to people who want to live differently, not just people who want to accumulate numbers on a screen, subscribe right now and hit the notification bell. This channel does the math that other channels skip because the honest math complicates the simple narratives that get easy views. Now, let us get into it. What the stock market actually returns in 2026. Before you can compare anything, you need an honest baseline for stock market returns, and the honest baseline looks significantly different from what most people think they know. The S&P 500 has returned approximately 10.5% annually in nominal terms over the past 30 years. That sounds impressive, but you do not spend nominal returns. You spend after tax, after inflation purchasing power, and those adjustments change the picture substantially. Inflation running at an average of 3% over a long horizon reduces your 10.5% nominal return to approximately 7.3% in real terms before taxes. If you are investing in a taxable brokerage account, which most people building toward an off-grid transition will be using once they exhaust their tax advantage space, long-term capital gains taxes at 15% federal rate plus state taxes reduce that further. For an investor in a 22% marginal bracket in a state with moderate income taxes, the effective after-tax real return on a taxable equity portfolio lands somewhere between 5.5 and 6.5% annually over a long horizon. That is still a powerful compounding engine. $100,000 at 6% real return over 15 years becomes approximately $240,000 in real purchasing power. Over 20 years, it becomes approximately $320,000. These are meaningful numbers, and they represent real wealth creation. But here is the critical context for someone planning an off-grid transition. During the years you are accumulating in the stock market, you are also paying for housing. The average American household in 2026 spends approximately $22,000 per year on housing costs, whether that is rent or mortgage interest plus property taxes plus insurance plus maintenance. Over a 15-year accumulation period, that is $330,000 in housing costs that have zero residual value if you were renting or modest residual value if you were paying a mortgage. That housing cost is the silent drain that makes the stock market path to off-grid living slower than it looks on paper. What rural real estate actually returns? Rural land suitable for off-grid living has appreciated at rates that most urban investors would not expect. In the American Southwest, Mountain West, and parts of the Ozarks, Appalachians, and Upper Midwest, rural land prices have increased between 8 and 14% annually from 2020 through 2025, driven by remote work, adoption, pandemic-era lifestyle shifts, and genuine scarcity of developable rural parcels with water access and agricultural potential. The 2025 data shows some moderation in that pace, with rural land appreciation settling into the 4 to 7% range in most markets as the post-pandemic surge normalizes. Using a conservative 5% annual appreciation on rural land going forward is defensible based on long-term historical data for desirable rural parcels. But appreciation alone does not tell the real story of rural land returns because rural land has carrying costs that erode the gross appreciation figure. Property taxes on rural parcels vary enormously, ranging from under $500 annually in low-tax rural counties to several $1,000s per year in counties with higher assessed values. You also have the opportunity cost of capital tied up in land that is not generating income. A $100,000 land purchase has an implicit opportunity cost of approximately $6,000 per year in foregone investment returns. Land that sits bare for 5 years while you save to build on it has real financial costs that never appear in the appreciation figure. The honest net return on a rural land purchase held for 10 years before building, accounting for property taxes and opportunity cost of capital, is approximately 2 to 3% annually in real terms for most markets. That is significantly lower than the gross appreciation figure and significantly lower than the stock market's real return over the same period. On pure investment return metrics, rural land held vacant loses to a diversified equity portfolio almost every time over a 10 to 15-year horizon. So, why do so many people building toward off-grid living purchase land early anyway? Because they are not buying land as a pure investment. They are buying the option to build, buying protection against future price increases in their target market, and in many cases beginning the process of developing water systems and site infrastructure that makes the eventual build faster and cheaper. These are legitimate strategic reasons that pure investment return analysis misses entirely. How off-grid living changes the math completely. Here is where the analysis gets genuinely interesting because the off-grid lifestyle transforms the financial comparison in ways that conventional real estate versus stocks analysis completely ignores. A household living full-time in a well-built off-grid property eliminates 4 major expense categories that continue to drain wealth indefinitely in a conventional lifestyle. Electricity costs averaging $150 to $200 monthly. Heating and cooling costs averaging $100 to $300 monthly depending on climate. Water and sewer costs averaging $50 to $150 monthly. And the most significant elimination of all, the housing payment itself, which for a mortgage-free off-grid property drops to essentially just property taxes. The combined monthly savings from a fully functioning off-grid property compared to a conventional housing situation in 2026 runs between $2,000 and $3,500 per month for a household that was previously renting, or between $800 and $1,800 per month for a household that was previously paying a mortgage on a comparable property. These are not one-time savings. These are recurring monthly savings that compound in value over decades. A household that frees up $2,000 per month by transitioning to off-grid living and invests that freed cash flow into a diversified equity portfolio generates approximately $700,000 in additional wealth over 20 years at a 6% real return. That is wealth that never appears in a simple real estate versus stocks comparison because it only exists if you actually make the transition and actually redirect the freed cash flow into the market. The off-grid food production variable adds another layer that most financial analyses omit. A well-maintained 1-acre market garden or food forest on rural property, combined with modest livestock, can realistically replace $2,000 to $5,000 annually in grocery costs for a committed household. At $5,000 per year, redirected to investment over 20 years at 6%, that food production adds approximately $185,000 in additional wealth creation versus a conventional household paying full grocery prices. The math only works this way. However, if the off-grid property is built to a quality standard that delivers on its performance promises, a poorly insulated off-grid home with an undersized solar system and unreliable water supply does not eliminate the expense categories. It trades one set of bills for another set of repair invoices. The financial case for off-grid living is built entirely on the assumption of quality construction and genuine systems performance. The sequence that most people get wrong. Most people approaching off-grid living make one of two financial sequencing errors that cost them years and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. The first error is buying rural land too early with capital that should be working harder in other ways. A person who takes $100,000 out of an equity portfolio at age 32 to purchase rural land, then spends 10 years saving enough to build on it, has paid a real opportunity cost. That $100,000 at 6% real return over 10 years would have grown to approximately $179,000 in real purchasing power. The land at 5% appreciation minus property taxes and opportunity cost delivers a net real return of perhaps 2 to 3% annually, producing approximately $128,000 in real value after 10 years. The difference is approximately $50,000 in lost wealth, plus the carrying costs of the land over the decade. This does not mean buying land early is always wrong. If you are in a fast appreciating specific market, if the land serves as a catalyst for beginning infrastructure development, or if the psychological commitment of land ownership accelerates your savings rate and timeline, early purchase can make sense despite the pure return disadvantage. The second error is the opposite, staying in the stock market so long trying to optimize returns that you never actually make the transition. People who wait for the mathematically perfect moment to buy land and begin building frequently discover that rural land in their target market has appreciated beyond their reach, or that their accumulation period has stretched so long that their life circumstances have changed in ways that make the off-grid transition more difficult. The optimal sequence for most households serious about off-grid living in 2026 looks something like this. In the early accumulation phase, maximize tax advantage accounts first, Roth IRA, 401k, HSA, to build a base of tax-free compounding capital that will fund retirement regardless of what happens with the off-grid project. Simultaneously build a taxable account with the specific goal of funding land purchase within 3 to 5 years. Purchase land when you have enough capital to buy without depleting your tax advantage base, and begin infrastructure development on the land during the ownership period so the land is actually being improved rather than sitting idle. Fund the primary build from ongoing savings plus any equity from a conventional home sale, if applicable, targeting the build phase for a point when you have enough liquid reserves to cover both construction and 1 to 2 years of living expenses without relying on the property to perform perfectly from day one. The honest risk comparison. Any financial comparison that does not address risk is incomplete, and the risk profiles of equity portfolios and off-grid real estate are fundamentally different in ways that matter for real people making real decisions. Equity portfolios face market risk, sequence of returns risk, and inflation risk. A person who begins drawing on their portfolio during a significant bear market can permanently impair their wealth in ways that a longer holding period does not fully repair. The stock market has produced negative real returns over some 10-year windows in history. Anyone who assumes that their specific 20-year window will produce average or above-average returns is making an assumption, not a plan. Off-grid real estate faces a different set of risks. Construction cost overruns are extremely common. with owner-builder projects frequently running 20 to 40% over initial estimates when accounting for all actual costs, including valued labor, permit fees, and material price changes during the build. Systems failures in solar, water, and waste management create both financial costs and quality of life disruptions. Rural property liquidity is genuinely limited, meaning that a household that needs to convert their off-grid property to cash quickly will almost certainly receive less than fair market value. And geographic concentration in a single asset in a single location exposes the household to local risks, including wildfire, regulatory changes, and community shifts that a diversified equity portfolio does not share. Neither risk profile is objectively superior. They are different kinds of risks suited to different kinds of people. An honest financial plan for off-grid living acknowledges both risk categories explicitly and builds buffers for both, rather than pretending that either path is free of meaningful downside scenarios. What the math actually recommends. After running all of these numbers, honestly, here is what I believe the math actually recommends for different types of people considering this decision in 2026. For someone in their 20s or early 30s with a 10 to 15-year timeline before wanting to make the off-grid transition, the math strongly favors maximizing equity accumulation in tax-advantaged accounts now, while simultaneously building a dedicated land purchase fund in a taxable account. Do not rush the land purchase. Target markets where rural land is still in the sub-$100,000 range for suitable parcels, which still exist in Appalachia, the Ozarks, parts of the Southwest, and significant rural regions of the Mountain West. Use the accumulation period to develop skills that reduce your eventual build cost. For someone in their late 30s or 40s who is more capital-rich and closer to wanting to make the transition, the math favors a more aggressive approach to land acquisition, particularly if you are in a market with strong recent appreciation that shows no signs of reversal. The opportunity cost of delayed land purchase in a fast-moving rural market can exceed the investment return advantage of staying in equities, particularly if you have already built a meaningful tax advantage base that will continue compounding. For someone in their 50s or approaching retirement, the math changes again. The shorter time horizon reduces the compounding advantage of equities and increases the relative value of the off-grid property's expense elimination benefits. A household that eliminates $2,000 per month in housing and utility costs in their mid-50s is building the equivalent of a large annuity that reduces their retirement portfolio withdrawal rate substantially, extending the life of their financial assets. In every age bracket, the math consistently says the same thing about one variable. The quality of the off-grid build matters more than almost any other financial factor in the comparison. A high-quality build that genuinely eliminates expense categories and requires minimal ongoing maintenance produces financial outcomes that justify the real estate path clearly. A low-quality build that creates ongoing repair costs and fails to deliver on utility cost elimination undermines the entire financial case and produces outcomes that would have been better served by staying in the equity market and renting a conventional home. The real math for off-grid living does not declare a universal winner between real estate and stocks. It reveals a sequence. Build equity in the market aggressively in the early years. Target land in markets with genuine long-term value. Build to a quality standard that delivers real performance. Redirect the freed cash flow into continued investment. And let the combination of asset appreciation, expense elimination, and redirected cash flow compound together over the long term into a financial position that a pure stock market investor or a pure real estate investor rarely achieves on their own. The argument between real estate and stocks is a distraction for most people serious about off-grid living. The question is not which asset class is better. The question is, how do you use both intelligently in a sequence that builds toward the life you actually want to live? If this gave you a framework worth thinking about, hit the like button and share it with someone who is having this exact argument with themselves right now. Subscribe for more honest financial analysis of sustainable and alternative living. Drop a comment telling me where you are in this sequence, because I read every one. See you in the next one.